Man, it's been a while since I had you on. You were on the audio version of the podcast, and now that we're back to video, and you are the music editor at MANO magazine. Very honored to have you. Um, Welcome, Sandra Treviño. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody, and we'll
Um,
get started.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sandra Treviño, based in Chicago, and I am the music editor at MANO Magazine. That's one of my responsibilities in life now.
Only one of them.
Only one of them.
What are the others?
Doing radio and writing and just my regular job as well. So there's a lot going on.
So I wanted to bring you on.
Mhm.
I know you're a busy woman, and I just made you busier. Not only making you music editor, but having you come on the podcast. I wanted to bring you on just so that people can, Mono's readers can get to know you and get to know your music sense and your experience
Mhm.
and pick your brain about the state of Latin music. First of all, speaking of music, DMX just died. I'm of the
Yeah.
certain age. I was in eighth grade in '99 when "It's Dark and Hell Is Hot" came out. He had two albums in 1 year, right? I think the first one was "Flesh of My Flesh," right, and then the one with the white one with the blood on him, and then "It's Dark and Hell Is Hot" came out a couple months later, and they're both classics. But the "It's Dark and Hell Is Hot" is definitely a classic. And I was in eighth grade, right? Like I remember like being in gym and all these the boys were like rapping this like hardcore, like bitches wanna die, bitches wanna. I'm like, whoa, I had been listening to fucking gangster rap for a while, but that was
Mhm.
hardcore. But it also not the misogyny and all that, but like just the. I remember when DMX came out, there was nothing like him before, right? He
Yeah.
was just he fucking growled on a track, right? Barked on a track. And so, I was like 13, 14 at the time. So it's a boy about to go through puberty. I was a late bloomer. About to go to puberty. That's kind of I guess he made music for kids going through puberty, but he helped us through a lot of shit, right? There's tracks on there where he was like really intimate, like the prayer, I come to you hungry and tired. He did the whole prayer. He did it on every track, but I just wanted to mention that, give a shout out to him wherever he's at, rest in power. And were you a DMX? I mean, he was, even if you're not a fan, he's part of the culture, right?
Part of the culture, and I don't know his music as deeply as a lot of my friends apparently do.
They all
And
came out of the woodwork right now that he's dead.
yeah, everybody's like, my homie, I grew up with him and his lyrics, and I'm like, never heard any.
I
I
thought you were
mean,
from
I don't,
Durango.
yeah. I mean, when it happens, we remember our favorite artists when they pass away, unfortunately. But I do know that one song he did, which was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I don't know that one. What is that?
That's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's what it is. He did it.
Is
He
that on a
did the song.
Christmas album or something?
I'm not sure if it's on a Christmas album, but definitely he did the song.
Wow.
Look it up. It's really funny.
Yeah,
That's what I know.
I got to check it out.
Yeah.
But just going through, you came out with two pieces this week.
Hmm.
The first one was Ivan el Satánico. And the original title that you submitted was El Satánico in the Dark Side of Cumbia. I was like, damn, she's
Hmm.
going out with this devil worshipping shit, but the music's badass, right? The guy's from
Yeah.
Querétaro City,
Hmm.
and he makes this cumbia obscura. So talk about him for a bit. Let people know about him.
I don't know how he came up on my radar,
Yeah,
but I've been following him since I saw him and I went to one of his tracks and I'm like, oh, I like this. And he's always showing on his Instagram videos how he makes his music, which I always find interesting,
yeah.
where the ch comes in, and it's something that I want to learn to do. So I'm always watching what he's doing. He did change his name. It was something like Doctor. Doctor Satánico or something with doctor in it, and he spelled it a different way. And then I think at the beginning of this year, he's like, I'm going to be known as Ivan el Satánico. I don't know if that makes it easier for him to push his music, but I love it. I love how he mixes things up, how he remixes songs as well, and all of his songs are original. And he's doing up this just on his, computer at home from Querétaro and putting his music out there. So I appreciate the work that he puts into his music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first you gave a sampling of his music, and the first one you chose was Que Leo, the Hector Lavoe
Yeah.
remix. And I like Hector Lavoe, but I'm not a super fan of even Latin music. But good music's good music. So as soon as I heard it, I got what he was doing, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this guy's fucking badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and he, I tagged him, and he actually has been showing you and Mono love ever since, man. He
Yeah.
seems like that kind of person, right, on social media.
Yeah, he seems really down to earth. And I know when that pandemic started, some of his videos were a little sad because he wasn't working. And then one time he even showed his refrigerator and there was no food. And I felt so bad for him. But he seems to be doing better. And I try to, as much, I mean, I buy all his new stuff whenever it comes out. So I'm a big supporter of him. And I hope that his music, gets out there more. I know that one song that was on the Caballito label from Spain, that's a cool thing to do. And I think he's gonna grow. He's gonna grow more and hopefully he gets a chance because if there was any way I do think that I asked him to come out here at one point and he just couldn't because he didn't have a visa for that and it's expensive and it takes a long time and this was before COVID, so it's probably worse now.
Wow.
But yeah, if I could have him out here in Chicago for an event, because we used to do the Cumbia Holics events, he would be amazing at that. And then the Cumbia Oscura, I mean, it's just funny to me. I don't take it seriously. Like they're saying like he's saying Satanas and all this, but it's just it's just fun.
Well, it's counter. Speaking of counterculture, right? Like, I mean, it's just counter.
Hmm.
It's Satan has always been a really big counterculture icon. One because I'm an atheist, right? So Satan for me is a literary figure. So as a literary figure, he's
Yeah.
an icon, right? If you
Hmm.
read Milton, right, Paradise Lost, I will not serve, right? Satan was, anybody who knows I was a good Catholic once upon a time, and so everybody knows that Satan was Lucifer. He was God's right hand man, and then when
Yeah.
God created Adam and told all the angels to bow to Adam, Lucifer was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm the most beautiful angel in heaven. I'm immortal. I'm perfect. I listen to your every word. I'm not bowing to this imperfect person. So that's where the counterculture icon status comes from, right? Better to
Yeah.
reign in heaven than to serve in hell.
Hmm.
So yeah, anybody who, and I'm sure like, especially Latino Catholics, I know people who are agnostic Latinos, but
Hmm.
the devil don't even bring up his name, right? Don't even bring up any of that stuff. Like
Yeah.
they don't believe in ghosts or anything like that, but they just don't want anything, especially the devil.
There was who was it? Someone I know posted something and it had the word devil in it or Satan, and one of his friends was like, what are you doing, bro? Don't even mention that stuff. You're gonna go down the wrong path or something weird, right? And I
Yeah.
was like so taken aback because this guy's very open-minded, I thought, and into music, and he's a DJ and all this stuff. And just mentioning the word devil or Satan to him was too much. So I mean I'm not judging him. I'm just like, boy,
So, yeah,
what's
I mean,
going
people. No,
on?
I mean, I was an atheist. I came into my wife and her group of friends, and they were all super. They had been raised religious, so I was like, I was an atheist, and even telling people you're an atheist, they if you're Latino, they want to get away from you. Like they're like, that motherfucker's about to
Yeah.
get struck by lightning.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Um, but anyways, yeah, I mean, it's sad that Ivan El Satanico can't come. The fucking immigration laws are keeping this music from spreading.
Yeah.
So
In a way,
borders don't only stop people; they stop art.
they stop art, definitely. But then on the flip side of it, there's the communication highway of the interwebs, and that's how we know about him, and that's how he got written up in Chicago, you know?
That's true.
So I'm thankful and appreciate that technology and that it has allowed us to meet people we probably would have never met if it weren't for the internet, you know?
I don't. You know, I mean, I'm the editor of MANO and stuff like that, but I don't see myself as the media. So you're right. Like, he's over here in Querétaro doing this shit during the pandemic, and then you find him, you write about him, and we have a website in the United States. You're from Chicago. You're in Chicago. I'm in Las Vegas. What is he thinking? Like, holy shit! I did this stuff in my house, and people in these different cities in a different country are
Hmm.
talking about me. Man, he must have
Yeah.
been so fucking honored, right?
Yeah,
Appreciative.
appreciative. And maybe we should interview him at some point. I hadn't even thought
Ah,
about interviewing him, but
yeah.
that would be nice.
Well,
See if he could do it.
My Spanish is atrocious, and I'm sure he's Spanish
Well, you
dominant.
better learn.
I better learn. You sound like my grandma. You better learn.
You
Uh,
better learn.
and what was the other piece was again, you were talking about the tribute album that came out for Rigo Tovar. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not raised in this, right? I mean, my I had when I was a kid, I'd kind of I'd known Juan Gabriel's name and his image, but I didn't know his music.
Okay.
And because I was just born in the I came up in the rap, um, and but again, I mean, just reading about, I love how you showed how what he means to your family and your mom and your aunts, especially because you guys they come from the same state, right?
Yeah.
How do you say Tamaulipas, right?
Tamaulipas, yes. So yeah, he was an important part of our lives, and I just always found him so interesting because he's not. I couldn't find the word to put in the article, but he's not a he's not a conventionally handsome person.
Oof, oof.
So I didn't.
I think he just rolled over in his grave. He twitched
But
at least.
there's
He twitched.
but who cares because
Yeah.
he's so, you know, sexy to so many people and so like attractive to so many people. And I think it was the confidence that he showed when he was performing. And then the other part of it that I didn't know until I was a little bit older was that he was going blind. And I just
Wow.
found that even more fascinating. He
Yeah.
would always wear his dark glasses, but at some point he became blind. And then he would just jump off this like parts, if there was like levels on the stage, he would just jump. And I'm like, why is he doing that? He still can't see. He can fall. Like I would get worried about
And
him.
that's
But
how a lot of rockers, like even Prince, fucked himself up jumping off stages
yeah,
his whole life, right? But he's wearing
yeah,
platform high heel
yeah.
shoes too.
Yeah. And then later on, I found out, he added different elements to his music, the electric guitars and bass and the electric drum. And he had synthesizers, which wasn't a normal part of cumbia music. So, he stood out. And he had later in his life, I think he ran into problems with drugs and whatnot, or alcohol, whatever. But his music will remain with us forever and ever.
That's the
Yep.
great thing about music, right? I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
especially now that it's not only on wax, but it's in the air, right? Like it's just always
Hmm.
some kid in India can listen to his music, and become a huge fan.
Exactly, exactly. You don't know who's gonna come upon it and enjoy it. Or even like Ivan el Satánico, he
Right.
may, get one of his tracks and remix it. Or like his godson, Rigo Tovar's godson, put out this full album of all his hits or a lot of his hits, and it's with other artists.
Right.
So, you find new interpretations of his music, and I think it will continue because cumbia was never went away. Cumbia has always been there. It was always just something that not everyone appreciated. And I remember specifically in the rock en español community, do not mention cumbia because
Oh, really?
no, it's like cumbia and reggaeton are all like that's Satan. We're
Mm.
not listening to that stuff. We don't like it. We don't want to be associated with it. Like, and it's also part of the culture of maybe classism and things like that where you didn't hear that music unless you were from the barrio or from certain neighborhoods. I don't know. I haven't really dug into it too much, but that's the um the gist I get from people that were like, no, 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 que esa es música naca or whatever. And it's like now it's more popular, but there's still that some people are like, no, would never listen to cumbia. I
I
know.
think I just, it's one of those moments I found out that I'm from the barrio. Like, because every time I went to a Latino party, all they played was cumbia and reggaeton,
Mhm,
right? Mostly cumbia.
mhm. Yeah.
To this day, my Rocio, my wife, she doesn't dance salsa, merengue, none of that, any of that stuff, right? I try to dance all of it, right? Music's music, but she'll get up if it's cumbia. If it's
Yeah.
cumbia, she'll dance all night. But as soon as it turns to something else, she goes and finds her gets a drink and sits
Yeah.
down.
Yes. I mean, I feel the same way. I love cumbia. Every time I hear a cumbia track, I'm like, why don't people like cumbia? I don't get it.
Yeah,
It's just so infectious. It's so, I don't know, it makes me feel good. It's a joyous sound. And then all these new styles of cumbia,
yeah.
no cumbia, and cumbia rebajada, and cumbia darks, and all this mashups and stuff. It's great. I think it expands the genre more.
Last time you were on, you had taught me and the listeners about cumbia crunk. Remember that?
Yes.
And I was listening to that for a while, because it was cumbia, the cumbia beat, but then
Yeah.
then it had that like this
Yeah.
weird. And I just love new sounds, right? You love because it's
Hmm.
so easy to play out the cumbia beat, or that you hear it with
Yeah.
reggaeton, right? They're playing it out, but somebody
Hmm.
who like an artist, like you're saying, Rigo Tovar, just experimenting with new sounds. That's a true artist, right? Taking what
Yep.
they know and saying, and whether it fails or not, it's just interesting, right? Like you listen to something, you listen to a song sometimes, and it's like not like anything you've heard in a while, and you don't know if you like it, but it's refreshing, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel that way about stuff. I was thinking about the last cumbia song that I was like, wow, this is great. And it was a Mexican Institute of Sound, actually. He has a new album out and he has a remix of a song called El Antídoto. And it's a cumbia rebajada, but it's like electronic. So it's just like banging and it's like it has that bounce and like it's so new, it's fresh, but it's still a cumbia at the base of it and it's really good. So maybe I'll talk about him next time.
It's interesting to think about like how technology is taking this tradition, like a cumbia, and making it futuristic. Like now you can, like when we go to Mars in 100 years, in 200 years, are there going to be Martian, Mexican Martian kids, or not even Mexican Martian, just Martian kids of any whatever
Yeah.
species, right? We'll probably be dealing with aliens and shit, but they'll be listening to some version of cumbia, probably.
I mean, look at the, I'm sure you've heard of the Colombianos in Monterrey that they only play cumbia colombiana and that's all they listen to. And they're such admirers. They're so passionate about that music and it's a whole subculture. And then there's the cumbia, like in Texas, the crunk cumbia. And I think every city just gives it a different vibe, but there's so many styles. Cumbia colombiana is so different from cumbia mexicana or cumbia from another other South American countries. So there's a lot to hear, and there's a lot of artists doing it. So yay for us cumbieros.
Yeah, you're from Texas, right?
I grew up in Texas, yeah.
And man, I have in-laws in Texas, and I just love specifically the Latino culture down there. It's so family oriented. It's all about getting together at somebody's house for an asada. Sometimes there's even a banda there, right? They just hire one
Hmm.
for it's just a party, right? But if there's enough
Yeah,
people, they'll say, "Hey, let's bring a band or something."
yeah.
And it's just so much fun. Like so many times I've been there in El Paso specifically, and it's an asada. I guess my cousin-in-law, he's a great fucking asadero, and him and his wife, like, they like to dress up and they like to go to the club and they like to dance, and
Hmm.
wearing the hat and the boots and everything. They just have I'm from Chicago, so like you have to kind of go. There's some people like that, right? The funny thing about Chicago is that there's some people who they'll come from Texas or they'll come from Mexico, and they're like, fuck it, I'm not gonna adapt to what's here. I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
be like about that ranchero lifestyle and shit like that. And I know a guy who like, and this is kind of off track, but it's they'll go to Mexico because they say there's no Mexican girls like that here. Like it's hard to find them. They're all like into reggaeton or some shit like that. So they go back to
Mm-hmm.
Mexico and fall in love with some girl, and they end up marrying that. She's a perfect
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah. It's the culture. It's a culture thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree with the whole family oriented type of gatherings in Texas. And it's the whole other conversation for another day, but that whole we're not Mexican, we're not American, we're Texan.
yeah.
So I think that's part of it. Yeah.
You said about I tend to bounce around a bit, but you said about Rigo Tovar that he's not what did you say, classically or traditionally good looking or something like that.
Yeah.
He's
He's not
unconventionally good looking.
unconventionally handsome.
And I've been
There's a term, I can't remember the word for it.
and I've been
Yeah.
thinking about that. Like back in the day, there used to be, for lack of a better term, ugly music stars, right? But they were amazing. They're amazing stars. And now you see that most music stars are extremely good looking. And I've often wondered, is that has I'm afraid that it's hurting the music, right? Like the way I think of it, there has to be a great musician somewhere, a great singer, woman, man, but usually woman. There's more of a pressure on a woman to look good looking and sing. Um,
Hmm.
she's ugly as hell, but she's the best singer in the world. Like, do you think we would ever know about her?
Yes,
Yeah.
there are some, but I do not want to name
Right.
them after
Exactly.
you said that. Um, but then there's like people that I don't, I think people think that this person is so handsome, and I always look at him and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's a very famous conejito, and I don't find him at all like, a handsome individual, but people enjoy his music, I guess, or whatever you want
That's
to
the
call it.
younger version. That's the younger crowd. Like what became like, we're seeing it, right? Every generation has its own aesthetic standards, and
Yeah.
like, because I know what you're talking about. The way he looks, he like 10 years ago, nobody would have thought he was handsome. And maybe it's just an explosion of. I think his appeal, and I'm not a fan of his music, and maybe we can talk about that. I'm not a fan of his music, and people say that they act like he's so artistically talented and daring and new, and I'm like, this kind of sounds like what I've been hearing for a long time. So, and then, or that he's like, pro LGBT, which I've heard is a myth, and that he's, this open person. But, I don't know what it is. I don't like, what is the appeal of that kind of, and I've asked other people too, like, why do we think that the best reggaetonero in the world, which he is, unofficially, officially, technically, whatever, the best reggaetonero is a white guy. Like that to me, usually, I'm always okay. That unless they're Eminem. Eminem is, probably the best lyricist of all time, right? But I mean, there's something about the way that way Bad Bunny, Benito, and shout out to Bad Bunny, shout out to Puerto Rico, right? I'm Puerto Rican. I'm not, whatever. But I'm just thinking, right? That's the way that he's packaged. Like, what is that? What is the appeal there?
I don't know. I can't explain it, and I don't understand it, and I don't really need to understand it.
Neither do
Um,
I, right? I mean, music's everybody's.
yeah. I saw him at I tried to see him at Los Dels Fest. I think he was there. And as soon as the music started, there was a big like bass drop, and you could, I mean, it felt like the audience just kind of like went because it was so loud, and I was way, way, way in the back. And I remember that hurt me, my ears, and I remember I was offended by it. Like, why did you do that to us? Like, you're being violent with your music against
Yeah.
us. And then I was like, I don't want to hear anything. So I mean, I didn't watch his show. I don't think he's talented as much as other people do, but again, that's just my opinion, and who cares?
I mean, for me, he's the the Spanish version, the Latin music version of what Drake is, right? Everybody thinks Drake's the best rapper of all time. He's the best in the game.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
like, what? Like I was at EDC, was this 2019 and something like that. And he showed up there and there was just this, like you said, boom. And then there he was. And then it was like a sea of people just, and I mean, he played music. His music's catchy. That's the thing about his music. Same thing about Bad Bunny. Their music's catchy. It makes
Mhm.
you move your body, but you listen to the lyrics or you listen to how it's composed, it's very simple, right? It's almost like Wheels on the Bus, but for adults.
Well, I cannot understand what he's saying because tiene una papa en la boca cuando está cantando.
Abra la puerta, mami.
I cannot understand his words at all.
But what was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, so for me, that I mean, that's the whole appeal. Like that he is just. It's almost like because I saw I went to go see Carlos Santana at the Hard Rock Hotel here in Vegas, and that was probably the best musical experience I've ever had. I was front row, dead center. My former brother-in-law was head of security or something like that, and so I was front and center. And it was his opening night of his residency, and I'm staring up at Carlos Santana, right? And he is fucking amazing, right? He is he loves, you could tell he still loves playing. Like he would be playing if nobody was watching him. And it's just amazing what he did, right? To the air in the room with that guitar. That is
Mhm.
magic. It was magic.
Yeah.
And I've been to a J-Lo concert. I've now seen Drake perform live. It's just not the same thing. I think there's a whole celebrity has kind of muddied the waters of what's good music, right? If somebody's a big celebrity, they make good music automatically. So goes the pop culture
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, pop culture. And then you said, well, his music's catchy. Well, there's the whole production side of it where people who know what the, different rhythms and beats that attract people, mainstream people,
It's a science,
and
right?
they all, yeah, and they all have that same thing. Yeah, I always say this to my partner, like, I bet you they have the same, like, if you listen to it, all these 5 songs, they have the same backbone basically, and they do. And the other thing, when you're mentioning, Santana and his guitar playing, most of these pop icons don't play music, they just perform. That's
Right.
it. They're performers, they're not actual musicians, so that makes a big difference too.
And they hardly, sometimes they're jumping around stage so much that they stop even saying their lyrics and they're just playing their song, and everybody's just, the people in the crowd do more work, right? Because they rap every lyric the whole
Yeah.
show. But it's like sugar for your ear, right? Whatever they're putting into the beat is like putting sugar in something, right? It's
Yeah.
crap. Put a bunch of sugar on it.
Yeah. And it's okay because, like, it's a performance, it's a show, and you're
Right.
going to get entertained. And
Right.
if you like it, go pay your $500 for your ticket and have a good time.
But
I'd rather
there's a
stick to
difference
my
between,
local concerts. Yeah.
yeah. There's a line between entertainment and art, though, right? I mean, and a lot of people don't think so.
Hmm. Yeah.
They think, well, what? It's entertaining. Like I'll say, this is not good music, and they go, whoa, it's entertaining. But that's a different argument, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Two different things. So,
The other thing, I guess, we're kind of wrapping up. I was gonna not take so much of your time today. One thing I'll mention is that you said that you bought, was it Ivan El Satánico's music? You bought it.
yeah.
That was in the beginning of the conversation, but I kept it in the back of my mind. Yeah, that's exactly what people need to do. Like I do that kind of on the media side, where like there's some, I guess why there's some websites, newspapers indies that I like really respect, and even if I'm not reading their stuff, I'll have a subscription just because like
Hmm.
if somebody's creating something and you see it on the internet, it's free, but if you really appreciate what they're doing, you have to support them with your dollars, right?
Yeah. Hmm. Absolutely. I believe that too. Unless I get the music automatically from artists,
Right.
usually I will purchase it. And sometimes they'll send it to me if I ask, like, I'm going to play it on the radio. But if it's just for me to listen to, most of the time I will purchase it. And It's easy. And then that goes to like Spotify. I am not a fan of Spotify. I'd
What is the deal
rather
with them? They don't give the artists money, right? They give them like half a cent
they
or something like that.
yeah, it's very low. You have to be in the millions and millions of streams in order to make any kind of money. And and then there's stories about big artists who have, number one hits that have bots that are doing the listening, and I think there has been videos of that. So the whole thing is horrible, I think, for musicians, but they're always pushing it. So whatever. I like Bandcamp, and Bandcamp, you can purchase the music. They're not pushing anything on you, and you just go and find what you like. It's not like this constant, like, you might like this, you might like this. And maybe you're getting, you might like this because that person paid money, and that's not fair. I don't
Yeah.
think so. Yeah,
There,
that's
that's the
that's
problem with social media is that it's all fake. I mean, social media
yeah.
is. I don't know if you saw Fake Famous on HBO, where they're saying how even Kim Kardashian has, fake fans on her social media.
Oh, I
Uh,
believe that.
yeah, 10 millions, right? And
Yeah.
you're saying like, even famous musicians have fake streams on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this. It's hard to know what, because that's when you say I don't like Bad Bunny. If I say I don't like Bad Bunny or I don't like Drake, they'll go, well, everybody likes them. But it's like people like to talk about a system, but they don't realize how a system works, right? They don't realize it's
Mm-hmm.
all around them. Like, why do you know Drake's music so much? Why do you know every song? Even though I don't like his music, and I know every song. He's made 30 hits. Like I know more of his songs than Stevie Wonder ever made, right? Um, and it's a formula, right? Like they go around, they'll have a beat, and they'll go to like what 5 artists, and they'll say this is a hit. Here are the lyrics. Here's the beat. If do you want to get on it? Oh, you don't. They have to bid, right? They have to like. There's like a bidding war of who's gonna get this hit because it's a hit. It hasn't even been made yet, but they know it's a hit.
Yeah. Same thing with like I'm remembering like music from Timbiriche and those bands in the 90s and 80s and 90s. And they always had this thing in the music, and it was always whoa, whoa. And all of those, boy bands and girl bands, all of them had it at some song. Eventually it came up, and it's just like you can participate. So you're now part of the music as well. And I feel that that's just the big mainstream thing. You only know what is being put in your face. So if everyone's talking about Bad Bunny, you better know about Bad Bunny because you don't want to be left out of the conversation, and you
Yeah,
don't want to, So that's all I can say about that is y'all are being bamboozled
yeah. And
big
then
time.
people are gonna think we're old and they'll see, right? That's all you can do is laugh, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll end with like that press release from the Recording Industry Association of America.
Hmm.
Latin music had a banner year under the
Yeah.
pandemic. The sales are up, streams are up. Uh, is Latin music taking over global music? Is it the music of the world? Is it becoming that?
I don't know. I was thinking about it because I don't see I don't see more than the artists that we've kind of mentioned, and like those top artists and J Balvin
Becky G, Carol G.
and J Lo and those types of artists. And maybe the numbers are high because of their numbers, and they just include it all
Mm,
under Latin music. And it's not really, it doesn't really envelop everyone that's involved in Latin music, or, Latin musicians. But I do see that during the pandemic, so many artists were putting out music in Chicago. The Latin artists, I wrote about them. They were busy putting out music or streaming or, collaborating with other artists. There was a lot of that. So it never stopped. And now I see it this year. It's like it's picked up. And maybe it was the pandemic. There was a resurgence of creativity, among all artists because it seems to be growing. But I don't like those numbers. I do believe them, but I don't know if it's based on just like the big hits that are, causing so many people to buy that J Lo, whatever, this and that. Um, I would like to see more numbers, more specific numbers. Like, is there rock en español in there? I don't know. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or other genres like cumbia, maybe just like Natalia Lafourcade making cumbia popular with Los Angeles Azules or stuff like that. So I don't know, but I was curious also about vinyl. Vinyl went up, CDs went down, so that's kind of cool. Everybody's getting into that, and I don't mind that. So
Yeah, I think
I'm hoping, yeah, that it continues, but I hope that it's real Latin music and not the fluff that's out there right now.
we'll see again. People are gonna say like J Lo is Latina. She is the queen of the Latinas in America, right?
What is I mean, yes, she's Latina, but her music is pop music.
I have a theory about her is that if Selena never died, we probably would have never heard of J Lo, because she's kind of
Mm.
stepped into that spot that Selena had just set up for herself, which is that crossover, music. And like, I think that Selena was even like, it's not like it's not like I'm saying that Selena's so great because people say she's so great. She is amazing. If you still listen to her music and watch her, she's like electric, right? And so like she's about to. People were so like like obsessed with her, legitimately obsessed with Selena, right? That when J Lo plays Selena and Selena's gone, now she's Selena, and now she starts making music, and like it's she has an accent, so it's like they kind of like, oh, this is kind of what I was waiting for, and so it's like a bait and switch almost.
But I don't take away the success that she has, you
You
know what I
can't,
mean?
yeah,
Like, I think that she's worked hard, and it's great to see a Latina in a position of power, and the
all
way
that, yeah.
she encourages other artists, and she's supportive of other women artists as well. So I appreciate her for that. Her music is okay. I don't consider it necessarily Latin music, even though she's a Latina artist making music. So that would make it Latin music, but it's not traditional Latin music as I know it, or traditional Latin music into an alternative, Latin alternative music. So, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of Selena, and my wife, my wife's a huge Selena fan, and
Mhm.
but what she's really gotten into, and we watched I watched most of the Jenny Rivera, that long ass 90 episode thing. Jenny Rivera's music's badass, man. She's got some bangers. Like she's got, I would say Selena has a way better voice, but Jenny Rivera has more soul in her voice. Like when she sings, she's like her voice cracks. She's on the verge of crying, right? And like now when my wife's playing Jenny Rivera, I know I'm either in trouble or I'm like a couple words away from being in trouble because like that music, man, it's just it's good for crying. She's like, I can't wait to go to. She's like, I can't wait to go to El Paso, or I can't wait to go back to Chicago and just get with her girlfriends or her cousins and just play a bunch of Jenny Rivera and get drunk and cry and shit like that.
I don't really know Jenny Rivera's music. I was never into it, so
Yeah, no, she said the same thing. Like she wasn't
yeah.
into it at all. And then it was after the show. The show was really good. That she started getting into the music, and that's the other thing about um things being digital is that there's no time for music now. There's no oh, that's 2009. No, everything is on the same timeline now, right? You can listen to Jenny Rivera, you can listen to Bad Bunny one track, and then the next track is fucking Louis Armstrong or some shit,
Yeah.
and it's all the same,
Yeah.
and that allows you to compare like
Hmm.
music across time.
Yeah. True, true. So that's the beauty of the internet. Again, we
Yeah.
can listen to all these genres that we may have never learned about unless we had access to them as easily as we do now.
But you got
Yeah.
to use the internet properly, not just swallow whatever it feeds to you, because there's algorithms that just want to stuff down fucking Bad Bunny down your throat, and just Bad Bunny or anything like Bad Bunny. You
Yeah.
gotta you gotta go looking. It's like a library. You gotta go looking. You can't just
Yeah.
get whatever's at the front desk. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Let everybody. Thank
That,
you so much for
yeah,
coming on. Let everybody know
of
where they can
course.
find you. Also, shout out that you're writing for the Chicago Reader. Are you like their like resident Latino
No,
music guru?
no, not resident, but they did extend an invitation to write about Latin music because they didn't have a lot of coverage on that, and I agree. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to be doing that. And you can find me on Instagram at Sans Trevino, or my website is Enchufate. You can also find me on Twitter at Sandra Trevino, and I'm out there everywhere. Find me.
Yeah.
I also write for Contratiempo once in a while, and definitely on the radio every Friday afternoon on Vocalo 91.1 FM. And I have several shows on Lumpin Radio, which is
Oof.
105.5 FM. That is a new station in Chicago, relatively new, even though we've been on there for several years. Um, so second and fourth Mondays, I'm on with the Ponderers, and we play female fronted music mostly. And then second and fourth Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m., which is today, earlier, Future Roots. And Future Roots is dedicated to more Latin tropical vibes and stuff, even though, I will always add some rock en español or whatever. And then I do have Wednesdays are dedicated to programming in Espanol on Lumpin Radio in the evening starting at 7. It's part of Comunidades Amplificadas. I have a show the third Wednesday of the month at 7:30, and it's called No Te Asustes, and it's about terror and horror. And so I just put together stories that are already out there with, scary music. And the other one is Entre Sonidos y Almas, and I do the interviews that I do in Spanish. Like today, I interviewed Los Destino Rivera, and they're a trio that does Puerto Rican trio that does satirical music, and actually Bad Bunny. Oh my God, again. So they became kind of famous because Bad Bunny reached out to them about one of the songs that they covered, and they kind of now they just got their first music
They got the nod
record
from Bad
deal.
Bunny.
Yeah, and their first record is coming out soon, but they're really cool trio. So I would put that interview, because it's in Espanol, I would put it on Entre Sonidos y Almas because it's all in Espanol. So that's what I do.
So I mean, yeah, you're just going through everything. It makes me feel even worse now for asking you to be a music editor. Quickly, what's hot right now in Latin music? Like, what do you like? What do you wait? What do you any albums you're waiting for? I know you're waiting for that
um,
Mars Volta song album, right?
Mars Volta, that is it's sold out. So I think it's 18 records. It's a box set, and they're releasing some of their unfinished songs, so that's going to be part of it. But I don't think there's any new music, and I was like, why did I use the word new when I posted it? Because people were like, what are you talking about? What's new? Are they back together? And I was like, oh my God, that's not what I meant.
You gotta be
So that's
careful.
come Yeah, so I've been listening to it, and it's pretty amazing. There's a local band in Chicago. Their name is Dos Santos, and they do psychedelic cumbia, chicha, and they have a new album out. And I cannot say anything more than wow. And then, so I'm looking forward to that. And, there's just local artists coming out with new music. Eso is coming out with a new single soon. Um, Bigger artists. Just today I played music from this girl named La Chica. She's a French Venezuelan composer and pianist. Her music's really different. I encourage you to listen to it. La Chica, and her new album is called La Loba. And just listen to my radio shows if you can, because I always play something new and something you probably have never heard of, and I think you'll like it. There is a lot out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you can do to make people not hate the radio is, I mean, you're doing God's work, man. Thank you, Sandra, so much for coming on.
Mhm.
Enjoy your weekend. Rest if you
Thank you.
can. I don't know if you got like 5 minutes to go to something else, but
No.
uh, take it easy. I'll actually,
This is the last task of the day.
well, thank you so much. Rest. You deserve it. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sandra.
you.
Take it easy.
Thank you. See you soon.
Peace.